is the February 12th edition of the Panel B podcast. Steve Buchanan and Julian Edlow. I purposely did not point. Nope.
Do this.
Nope. I kept my hands on my lap this time. I did not point. Because you outed me. You made me feel dumb about it, so I'm no longer going to point.
It was dumb.
At the camera. It wasn't dumb. It's just, like I said, it was acknowledging the viewers who are watching via video. Okay. We got a lot of interesting things to talk about here today. The XFL had their debut last weekend. They have to be happy with the numbers that they did.
It was pretty entertaining.
It was very good. It was very good compared to what we saw, the product we saw back in 2001. Much better product. But it's only been 1 week.
Compared to the AAF,
whatever it was,
that was bad.
Yes.
Quick and bad.
Yes. So the XFL had a strong first week. We'll get into that. The NBA is entering the All-Star break. They'll be there in just a couple days. We have a very special guest, our second guest on the Panel B podcast. Chirag Hira is going to be joining us later in the show.
Celebrities into Panel B.
It's unbelievable. First it was Billy. Now it's Chirag. Like the whole
wow.
Bunch of dorks. But they're going to be Chirag's going to be joining us later today. He will be coming in via the door, so make sure you watch the video version if you're not, because that is a pivotal part of the entrance. And then we'll talk some MLB win totals, because there are reporting for spring training, which is wild because that came up on us fast, but almost in mid-February, so it's just about that time. But
these are I was talking about this with some of the DK Live guys. There's times where I'm into baseball and I'm not. Now is actually one of the times I'm into baseball. You can bet futures, like get excited. It's spring training. We get along to opening day. It's fun for a month. Then I just tune out forever. There'll be one highlight over the summer where I pick a Saturday afternoon game for a beautiful day at Fenway Park, go to the game, drink some beers, eat some hot dogs, and then I'll pay attention when the playoffs start.
Okay, well, don't go any games this year because we're mad at them. So don't go to any games.
Like I said, I'm looking to weasel my way into the DraftKings box for free with free food and drink. And if that doesn't happen, I'll just buy some, cheap standing tickets on the Monster and guzzle some beers and sausages and have a great Saturday afternoon.
We have a box at Fenway?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to go to a game.
Well, they invite me. They don't usually invite you. So.
Okay. Well, I'll be doing a lot of baseball writing, so I'll keep myself busy.
Yeah. No, I went, though.
Okay. I mean, you spend a ridiculous amount of money, and you still wear these cheap clothes, so that says everything. Let's get into the XFL.
This was free clothes.
Yeah, exactly. Brat. Let's edit that part out.
You probably had a different shirt on before you fell down your front steps this morning. I had to change clothes.
Oh, for our video viewers. It was awful. If I took this off, you would be horrified. I got a big bandage on. All right, anyways.
Ouchie.
Blood soaked through my shirt. All right, anyways.
Speaking of extreme injuries.
Let's talk about the XFL. So just a couple quick notes here on how the betting went down here. Home teams went 3-1 against the spread in this game. The combined average score of all four games was 38.5, which doesn't...
1 over and 3 unders.
Yeah, the under was 3-1.
The under... that almost split 2-2, but a field goal in the first game. Who played in the first game? A field goal in the first game. It finished 31-19 with a total of 51.5. A field goal was kicked to hit the over.
Right.
It was called back for a flag. There was no scoring the rest of the game.
Right. So the under was 3-1, which you would have to think. The over-unders are not yet released on the DraftKings Sportsbook as we record this, but you have to imagine
they're taking their time with.
You have to imagine those are going to be a lot lower than we saw in Week 1. We also have to make note that LA and Dallas were both missing their starting quarterbacks, so that could also be in one of the reasons why we saw some lower scoring games here overall. But, one thing I think we have to make sure of is not to overreact to these Week 1 games, because this is still a fresh league. We're also learning the rules. The players are also still learning the rules. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And so there's still a lot to learn here from a betting perspective and from the players playing here. So, like I said, we still haven't seen the over-unders come out yet, but so any thoughts on Week 1?
I just thought you had to kind of find your spots. I know, I made one bet. It was on Seattle plus 10, and they wound up winning outright. I know you even had the money line in that one.
Yep.
So it's kind of paying attention to these spots. So D.C. looked really good. New York got the big win over Tampa.
Yep.
D.C. opened -5 against New York in D.C. this week. I thought that looked light, but I'm not smart enough to know this market yet. I wanted to see what happened. That's up at 6.5. So I was right. That's my one regret. I should have made a week 2 play already on DC, I feel like, at -5. It's a cool market to follow. And then the other game on Saturday is Tampa at Seattle. Those two teams sucked.
Right.
Now is it worth taking Seattle +3, a home dog? Is Tampa going to bounce back? Like, it's going to be fun to just monitor and see where the market goes, but not as many people bet it, and that always means, just like how I bet things like WNBA and whatnot, you can get a bigger edge there at times.
So one of the questions I had for you is that we don't have information on these teams. Like, I look at these spreads here and I go, what am I really thinking about here? What am I really looking at here? So do you think the safer play is to take these money lines and maybe some of these underdogs, because some of these money lines are pretty spread apart? And like, I had the Battlehawks in that one. I think they were +325 on the money line. I'm just going on value alone because they were so undervalued here. But I think it was Dallas they played in that game.
Yes, at Dallas.
Ended up using their third string quarterback in that game.
I didn't even watch deep enough.
So it was supposed to be Landry Jones. Landry Jones ended up playing.
Didn't play. We'll see if he's supposed to maybe play this week. Right. So now is their value on Dallas -4 against a team like LA that also looked horrible.
But see, and this is kind of what I'm talking about here. We're just kind of going in the dark here.
Right. But that's what everybody's doing. Like, that's the thing that I kind of like about it. Like, when we do NFL, it's like, all right, this team is 5-7 against the spread. They're 2-3 against the spread on the road. They're this, they're that, and we go into all these numbers. Here, it's just kind of more eyeballing it. Like, oh, Jones was out. Right. He's maybe the best quarterback in the league. If he plays, maybe we should do this. Right.
So the lines are up for this weekend. DC Defenders are 6.5 favorites over the New York Guardians. The Tampa Bay Vipers, who had a really bad showing last week, -3 favorites against the Seattle Dragons. Dallas Renegades are -4 favorites over the Los Angeles Wildcats, and the Houston Roughnecks -8 favorites over the Battlehawks.
LA just right out of the gate was like, yeah, defense didn't do good. Defensive coordinator, you're fired.
Whoa,
you're gone, bro.
What? Already, we're seeing firings in the XFL. I couldn't believe that. Like, what could have been that bad? They were like, all right, you're out. One game, one and done.
I don't know.
So
didn't give the guy a chance.
But I also saw some of the other interesting things too. The average watch time for a viewer for the XFL was about 61 minutes. And while that seems low, the XFL games are much shorter than the NFL games. And the gold standard, the NFL, is about 84 minutes. So a fairly big discrepancy, but the percentage of engagement from XFL users was astronomical. It was very high here. I mean, what's going to make this league a success is two things. Sports betting, which they are embracing immensely. I mean, we saw some of the lines on the television there while we're watching the games.
And the broadcasters talk about it.
Right, which is great. Good. Which is great. And DFS. I mean, I have multiple lineups going. Did I know who I really was rostering? No. I'm just going off of people who are actually spending the time to research this, which, by the way, we also have some of that content on the DraftKings Playbook and DK Nation, so you can go to either one of those places for some of those plays. But DFS is what, in sports betting, is what's going to keep this league alive.
I will build a cash lineup for this 4-game slate over the weekend, and I will probably bet a game, most likely taking the points with a dog.
And why not? Because that's where the money can be made.
They're interesting, too. How much do we overreact to week 1? Because, Houston's really good.
Yep.
But so St. Louis got that really nice road cover where they went outright. How much of that was Dallas being bad and how much of that is St. Louis being good? Because now you can get St. Louis, who won as a 9.5, 9-point dog, whatever it closed at, as an 8-point dog at Houston.
Right.
But Houston looked good.
And then, of course, it's a good time to remind everybody the odds and lines are subject to change. See Absol's website for actual odds. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's switch over to the MLB side with some of the futures that we're going to be looking at here. And we're going to kind of focus on the regular season wins here because you and I have talked about this a lot off air. There is a lot of value on the DraftKings Sportsbook with some of these totals here that you can take advantage of. There are 3 over-unders that I am just absolutely in love with right now, and I'll just kind of bounce a couple of these off of you. Cincinnati Reds, over-under 83.5 wins. The over right now is at -134, which is a little pricey, but I feel like you're getting such a low number for a team that has made so many additions quietly to their team. They have added bats. They have added to their rotation. They have added to their bullpen.
I know they have a really strong rotation. Who were some of the bats they've added?
So Nick Castellanos is the latest one.
Okay.
So a very good power hitter into the lineup there. And this is also some of the guys too. Like they still have Trevor Bauer from that trade that they got last year. Like there is a lot of guys here that you don't even realize are on this team. And you look at that division. The thing I have about that division is the Chicago Cubs are like one bad losing streak away from going on a full rebuild, it feels like, because they are a team that's kind of in flux right now. Chris Bryant has been the subject of a lot of trade rumors.
I mean, there's 4 teams that could win that division.
Right.
The Cubs, the Reds, the Brewers, and the Cardinals. If any of those teams won it, I would not be surprised at all.
Here's the thing that I would push back on you. I could poke holes in 3 of those teams.
So you think the Reds are the most
I think
solid.
the Reds are the ones that are the most solid.
So let's go to the division winner page.
So just as you do that, talking about the Reds, so they added Castellanos, they added Mike Moustakas, who's going to be playing second base. That's another guy who has a lot of power there.
Taking him from in the division, too.
Right. Suarez is going to be playing third base. He's coming back, obviously. You know, we don't know what some of these younger kids are going to do as well. Tucker Barnhart can hit home runs. Jesse Winker can hit home runs. Like, there's a lot of power on this team there. And they got a good rotation. They have a really good rotation with Castillo,
Miley,
Gray, Bauer. Yeah, Miley's the 5th starter. He's a guy that can go deep. There's a lot to like about the Reds. So you talk about the Brewers, okay? The Brewers obviously had a lot of hype last year, made it to the playoffs, early exit. Their pitching staff is atrocious. Their pitching staff is atrocious. If they struggle offensively, because, again, they lost somebody like Moustakas. Christian Yelich is coming back from that injury, right? Yeah. If they struggle out of the gate, they could be in trouble.
Although Christian Yelich did look fine walking around Encore Boston Harbor when I saw him over there.
Enjoying a nice burger. Yes, yes, that is true. So I have worries about the Brewers. I have worries about the Cubs. The Reds feel like they're in a really good position to take advantage of this division.
Plus 300.
Love it.
So I have already bet Cincinnati over 83.5 wins.
Oh, boy.
I've done that. So I might maybe make a small little splash on the 300 to win the division.
The other one I like, too, and this is in the American League now, same total, Chicago White Sox, over 83.5 wins. This is a team that felt like they couldn't sign anybody. They were courting guys. They were trying to make their plays, couldn't get anybody. All of a sudden, they got a good-looking team. They have a very good-looking team.
Because before you go, this is one where I get that there's always a few teams every year that we project that just make this big jump in the win total, and it's like this is going to be one of the teams. The Twins were one last year.
Yep.
We did well with them. I'm trying to think of a bad example, but I can't think of one off the top of my head.
We don't do bad examples.
So like, I have one that I'll give you after that I am going to fade on the under, but like I'm just staying away from this altogether. I don't want to. And how bad the division is.
Yep.
Is what partially scares me. What will Cleveland be is kind of up in the air. The Twins should be good. This is a classic stay away one for me because I think the number's pretty ambitious. They're going to improve.
Yep.
I just think it might be a little too much.
So for me, the American League Central is going to be very weak. We can already cross off the Royals. We can already cross off the Tigers. They're not going to be in the mix at all. We don't have to worry about them.
Right.
So now we're talking about the Indians, the Twins, and the White Sox. The Twins are going to score 15 runs a game. They're going to give up 10, and they'll be competitive. The Indians are like the Cubs. They are one bad losing streak away from selling off their pieces. They've already kind of done so. They traded Corey Kluber over the offseason.
That's starting to sell.
Is that a sign of a rebuild? No, not exactly, because they got a couple good prospects back. But then when you start chirping about Francisco Lindor is now on the market, okay, now you have my attention. Now this feels like a team that doesn't want to be very competitive. They want to start looking towards the future here. In this division, if the Cleveland Indians start selling off, we're talking about the White Sox and the Twins. You're telling me that this team, who has a lot of young talent, a lot of young power, and has improved their rotation immensely. They signed Dallas Keuchel. They signed Gio Gonzalez. Lucas Giolito is going to be their ace at the top. You're telling me this isn't a team that can win win at least 84 games? This is definitely a team that can do so.
I forgot about how good Giolito was during that stretch.
Right. They still have Abreu. Oh, and they signed Edwin Encarnacion and Yasmani Grandal. So 2 guys that could at least account for 40-plus home runs. That is a lot of power that you just added. By the way, you still have, Eloy Jimenez. You still have Yoan Moncada. You still have Jose Abreu. That's a lot of power and a lot of good pitching on both sides.
So if you made me pick, I think I would, and I haven't bet either of these, White Sox over or Indians under. I think I would bet Indians under 86.5.
I think that's fair.
Before betting Chicago over 83.5.
I just think Chicago's going to be good this year. I really do. There's too much
might
power.
be. I'm just more confident in the Indians trading Lindor, and then that total wouldn't even be close.
Because again, and this is kind of the other thing I'm thinking of here, and this is what I think the Reds could do too. They can beat up on their division.
Mm-hmm. No, that's the best thing you want to look for in a win total. Who can beat up on their division, or who's going to get beat up in their division, which takes us to the Pirates.
Right. What are they doing? Their whole team costs like $40 million.
One of my very best friends is in that Pirates front office, and
what?
Yeah,
he is.
Yeah.
Ask him what the heck's going on.
Well,
what is this disaster you're putting on the field?
They're not all his decisions. Owners, look at what the Red Sox just did.
But at least the Red Sox will be somewhat competitive.
That was an ownership move, though. That's what I'm saying. So it's not always a front office move.
So going off your point that you just said about looking at the... do you have something else?
Well, I was just going to say, we're looking at the divisions, and I just said, although we like the Reds, there are 4 teams that can win that division that wouldn't surprise you. That's tough for Pittsburgh to get wins.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. But the Pittsburgh Pirates at 69.5, that does feel a little high. Yeah. If you take the under on that, it's minus 124.
I'll share the bets that I have placed on win totals. Some of them have moved. But do what you please with them.
Okay.
That's what I'm here to try and help people make money. This is what I did. I need to come up with a term, like other gambling podcasts have terms like...
There's other gambling podcasts?
Yeah, there are.
Oh.
What's it going to be?
Well, don't think of it now.
Play it or pass it.
Oh,
you're either going to play what I give you or you're going to pass on it. I'm giving you the option. I'm telling you what I did. I'm presenting the argument. You can play it or you can pass it.
You got to go back to the drawing board. You got to come up with something a little more creative.
I came up with that in 5 seconds in my head.
That's why I said don't do it now. Wait till later.
It's an example. We'll come up with something
Please come up with something later.
Bucks it or...
Hey, don't forget, Buck in the Dark is coming up later. It's 1-1 on the season so far.
I don't think any of our Bucks in the Dark have even made it out in time for people to play it.
You guys need to do something.
I feel really bad about whoever followed along for URI plus 11 last night. I have a college basketball winner that I'm going to give you guys to make your money back.
Oh, me too?
Sure, you too.
I'm never following you in your dopey homeschool of URI.
Okay, they were
26-5 when I checked the score.
It was a bad night.
It was a bad night because I checked it. At least I want to have some sort when I'm betting something, at least I want to sweat it out a little bit. I checked it and I said, well, that's the end of that one.
So you are the Twitter troll that just follows that play and then complains. If you've been following along for the college basketball season, you know that URI is 7-2 against the spread on the road. They were 8-2 against the spread in their last 10, and we've been betting them almost every time out. So we just took a little chip off the block there. For you just lost all your money, and now you're an angry buck.
I didn't lose all my. I've had some really good weeks the past couple of weeks. So
why don't you tell everybody about how I gave you 2+ money NBA player props on Monday?
Yeah, you did. Sometimes you do well, but
where was the congratulations for that? Just you lost.
No. I texted you the next morning, and I said,
I mean a public one.
I don't know. What do you?
You just publicly bashed me for my loss.
Okay, you know what? Here. I'm patting him on the head. Good job. You did a good job on those NBA plays the other day.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I'm a college winner for tonight.
Yeah, that's a gift, by the way. You need to do that one. Real quick back to MLB, and then we'll get Chirag into the room here. You had mentioned talking about the division and how we can that can really go with the win totals here. One of the ones that I've really come to like is the Oakland Athletics under 89.5 runs, which you can get at some good money here at minus 110. So On the surface, this feels like it might be a sucker play, taking the under here, because this is a team that's consistently been around 95, 97 wins over the past few seasons. They make the playoffs, they get bounced right out. That's just how it goes for the Oakland A's. But you look at how they did in the division last year, and we're going to take the Houston Astros out of the mix because that was the one team they struggled against. Against the Angels, the Rangers, and the Mariners, they went 36-21 last year. So they just beat up on those bad teams in the division. The Angels have made some huge moves over this offseason. They added to their rotation. They traded for Dylan Bundy. They ended up signing Anthony Rendon to that huge contract. So just another bat to go with Mike Trout and company. And the Rangers, they traded for Corey Kluber. They've gotten some young guys in some trades. They traded Nomar Mazara, but they are definitely a better team than they were last year. They're in the new stadium, a whole new look team. I think the Oakland Athletics are going to struggle against some of those teams that they've beat up on. They'll beat up on the Mariners. Everybody's going to beat up on the Mariners. I mean, I think the average age on that team is 12 coming into this season. They're just running all the prospects out there this year. But I think the Oakland Athletics, who basically stood pat this offseason, who's bringing back the same team with a couple exceptions in their rotation, they're bringing some of their younger kids in. I think they're going to struggle in the division. I don't think you're going to see a record like this in the division. So for me, taking them at under 89.5 feels like a pretty strong play to make overall in this, what could be a very competitive American League West.
It's a lot of wins, I agree. For a team that doesn't, have that prestige feel to it that they're always up there, but they were up there last year. I don't mind it. It's a lot of projecting goes into it. A lot of moving parts in the division, but those are the pieces that go into it. So I don't mind that.
Because I'm struggling to find where they're going to win 90 wins. Where we like the Astros. Maybe they're not going to hit their win total, but they're still going to be competitive as long as something crazy happens with suspensions and all that. If that doesn't look like it's coming, but they still have a very good team even without Garrett Cole. You think the Angels are going to be much more competitive than they were last year, and the Rangers could play spoiler. They could be, maybe they won't be an over 500 team, but maybe they're close enough that it keeps the Oakland Athletics from going under on that total. Like for me, it feels like there can't be all these 90-game, 80-plus game winners in this division when all of them should be competitive with the exception of the Mariners.
Yeah. I have no issue with your argument there.
And then real quickly, league winner, that really hasn't changed. Really the biggest change was when the Mookie Betts trade went down. The Yankees at plus 165 to win the American League. The Dodgers at what you and I both think is still ridiculous value at plus 190 to win the league. I mean, I still think if you haven't jumped on the Dodgers plus 190 yet, I think you still have to do it.
I've already jumped on Yankees plus 165 and Dodgers plus 190. Yeah. And I just think you're either going to win one or both.
Yep.
One of them has to be there, I feel like.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then you grind out a little bit of profit, and if they both get there, then you really get paid.
And, just because I was so high in the Reds, I don't mind a sprinkle on the plus 1,800. I don't mind that at all.
Sure.
I mean, because you got to take some of these long shots.
That's not even World Series. That's just to get there.
That's just to get there.
Yeah.
All they need to do is get there.
Well, all they need to do is get to the World Series.
Well, sure. But, winning the World Series is a whole different animal in itself.
So, yeah, I just gave out essentially two of my plays there. Yankees plus 165, Dodgers plus 190. I think you're going to get one or both. I gave Reds over 83.5. That's one that I've actually put in. Diamondbacks over 82.5.
Sure.
Thoughts? They got Starling Marte.
Yep.
They got Zach Gallen back in that Greinke trade, which Gallen was one of my favorite pitchers to bet on with the Marlins last year when the Marlins were always being overlooked. Any thoughts? The thing is that it's scary that they're in the division with the Dodgers, but the rest of the division I feel like they should do well with.
You didn't even mention one of their biggest moves. Madison Bumgarner.
Oh, and Bumgarner.
Coming into the rotation. Now, obviously, Bumgarner had a down year last year. The concern with him is that he struggled on the road when he was away from, I think it was Oracle Park. They keep renaming that stupid park in San Francisco. So now he's going to Chase Field, which it feels like the jury's still out if that's a hitter's park or a pitcher's park because they add the, humidor and now all the balls are all funky. And so we don't know if it's a pitcher's park or a hitter's park. But
okay.
going away from San Francisco is a bit of a concern. But again, what it feels like a lot of these teams are doing, they're just putting more and more power on the field. They added Cole Calhoun, who's going to be away from Los Angeles in a better area in Chase Field here. They still got David Peralta. You mentioned Marte in the mix there as well, Eduardo Escobar. So they have a good team. Do I think they're going to get 90 wins? No. Do I think they can go over 83.5? Yes. 85, 80, what is it?
82.5.
Also even better. Mm-hmm. Do I think they can go over that total? Yes. Are they? They're probably, the way I look at it, like an 85, 86 win team. I think that is something that they can shoot for.
All right, love a good sweat. I have Pirates. I have Pirates under 71.5.
You got them at 71.5.
I missed 72.5. Is where they opened.
Oh my God, that is so high.
Gotta be quick, guys.
Yeah, that is so. What was the under on that? What's the juice on that?
-130.
Oh, that is like a slam dunk. That team is going to be so bad, so bad. You might as well just go to the ticket window right now and just cash it.
Well, I've been of that mindset before.
No. I'll tell you right now. I will give you $20 if that bet doesn't hit. And then if it hits, you give me nothing. I don't care. I'm so confident in that I'll give you $20. Mark that tape right now.
That'll cover a little chunk of the loss. All right. These two are the most interesting ones, and you can't get them right now on DK Sportsbook, but you don't know how things are going to move around. So, Padres under 83.5 at +120.
I think they're going to be a good team. I really
right now it's 81.5 on DK Sportsbook. Yeah. The under is -107. So I'm getting +120 on 2 more wins at it.
Yeah. I struggle with that team because
they won 70 games last year.
I know. I understand that, but they're tough because they are a very young team with a lot of talent. But that doesn't mean that the wins are going to come. That is just like a perfect total that that's a stay away from me, at least.
Okay.
That I feel like it's just a perfect total for them.
When I saw plus money and a 14-win improvement required, I pounced.
I agree.
That was my biggest win total play.
What was the other one?
So the last one I have is the Houston Astros.
Here we go.
Over 95.5 wins, +145.
The Astros are just stay away from me. I'm not touching them at all.
So basically what I did is took 2 big plus money spots that most people I thought would stay away from and just went with it.
And I don't want to go too deep into this, but when has there ever been a time where there is just so much uncertainty surrounding one team? Because of this whole cheating scandal thing. There's so many players that are vocal and angry about this that, how are they going to get treated during the month of April when they're seeing teams for the first time? So this is what I think about.
I'm hoping they play mad and want to prove that we could
also get that from the other side. And this is one example that you should probably remember. Do you remember when Alex Rodriguez first got popped for the suspension? He was going to be suspended the next year. Mm-hmm. Ryan Dempster came out and threw 4 straight pitches at him.
Yep.
Do you not think that could be the type of treatment that the Astros could get league-wide now?
Perfect.
Because
get some guys on base. Let's get some runs, baby.
But you know what I mean, though? The way that you treat this team is so much different than, honestly, anything we've ever seen. You know what I mean? There's just something different about this. So the Astros are just such a stay away from me because there's so many factors that you usually don't never have to think about with these win totals.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just saw the numbers again.
11.5
lower than they were last year. +145 to take it. I took it. Cole and Miley leaving is going to definitely be worth some wins.
And if Verlander continues to have issues, I know he's the reigning Cy Young, which is not deserving, by the way.
I thought didn't Cole win?
No, it was Verlander.
Was it really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oops.
Yep. But all the home runs that he gave up. You're not going to be able to keep skating with that each and every year. He was giving up a lot of home runs last year. That was a big issue for him. If that comes back next year or this upcoming season, that's a problem. I think that's going to be a problem because you don't have those shutdown guys behind you like you used to with Garrett Cole and whatnot. I think it's going to be a big issue here. So that's going to wrap it up for MLB. For me, are you good with that?
I'm good with where we are on baseball, yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to bring in our second guest of all time.
Ever.
Chirag Hira is going to come into the room. You guys are going to talk NBA, and I'm just going to, I don't know, see what's going on Twitter. So
Great.
We're going to bring in Chirag Hira. He's going to get the grand entrance through the door. And we'll talk some NBA. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, the second guest of all time on the Penalty Podcast. Here he comes. It's Chirag Hira here to talk some NBA. Look at him. He looks happy.
Go.
He's wearing a nice white polo, and he is here. Sir.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the Penalty Podcast. How do you feel to be guest number 2?
Deuces, baby. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm excited for this.
So-
I've been waiting for this moment for a long time.
A lot of people have.
Here.
Since the incarnation of, is that the right word?
Yes.
Whatever. Of Panel B, Chirag has been blowing up my phone. Buddy, when can I be a guest? I said,
Yeah.
when the time is right. And this time is right. You know why? Because I'm not very good at NBA. I don't really talk NBA. So we have to bring in, you have to carry the weight of this segment.
fine.
Because this guy's not prepared. He's never prepared.
Never.
But you are here to talk some NBA with
Yep.
Julian because this weekend is All-Star Weekend.
Yep.
You can bet on almost all the Saturday contests that they have there, the dunk contest, the three-point contest. So I'm going to let you guys...
Skills contest.
Skills call. My mistake. I'm sorry. That's the most
Jason
important
Tatum
one.
looking to repeat as champion.
Yeah, sure. I guess that happened. So there's a lot for you guys to talk about here. So I'm going to give the hosting duties over to Julian. You guys can talk some NBA, and I'm going to see what's going on Twitter.
All right, so far
Let's get it
we
cracking.
only have odds as of Wednesday on the three-point contest, which is actually pretty early. I'm pretty happy with that. Dunk contest and skills competition will come up there. Joe Harris favored to repeat last year's champion. Joe Harris plus 475. After that, Dame Lillard plus 500. Trae Young plus 500. Davis Bertans plus 550. Duncan Robinson plus 550. Buddy Hield plus 650. Devontae Graham plus 900. And the hometown hero, Zach LaVine, who should also be doing the dunk contest, is plus 900. Do you have any thoughts on this field?
Yes. My thoughts are Buddy Hield is winning this contest. And that's without a doubt, actually. He's third in the league in 3 points made. My only question will be Damian Lillard.
Well, you said without a doubt Buddy Hield's going to win, and then you said your only question is somebody else.
Well, Damian Lillard, the thing is, this is not a 3-point contest from the logo. That's the reason why I hesitate to deal with Lillard. He needs the deep shots.
Isn't the NBA literally changing the format that you get like 6 shots from deeper?
I'm not actually sure about that.
The NBA is literally changing the format for people like Damian Lillard and Steph Curry by making there's longer, the money balls are like longer shots.
What?
All right, so I'll give my thoughts while Chirag Googles this and I get him caught up on how the NBA works.
Wow.
You seeing that?
The Mountain Dew 3-point contest. I guess
No
that's the
free
reason why.
ads.
Yeah,
It's the
you can't say
3-point
that.
contest.
You can't say
Sorry. I was reading.
You can do the do elsewhere until they start paying Panel B.
All right, sorry. My bad. Yes, correct.
I mean, he's
this is
talking
why.
into the microphone, but we need Billy back. I mean,
Yeah, my bad.
So Chirag's going to learn how the NBA works over there, and I'm
man.
going to give some thoughts here. Immediately, what jumps out here is Damian Lillard and Trae Young at plus 500 because of these deep balls.
It's the sponsored zone. That's where they're shooting from.
Sure, the sponsored zone, which happens to be much farther back than where the regular 3-point line is.
Yeah. It's 6
Okay.
feet behind the line, and they have to hold a special 3-point ball.
oh, a special ball.
And how many attempts do they get from back there? 6?
Yeah.
One from each rack from
Correct.
6 feet behind.
One from each rack, and each ball will be worth 3 points.
Okay. That immediately puts Damian Lillard and Trae Young, that you see why they're plus 500, not just because they're great shooters, but because they're great deep shooters. So I think playing one of those guys makes some sense. 2 other guys that jump out, Bertans and Robinson at plus 550. A couple of pure shooters and bigger, taller guys that I think that maybe helps the further shot a little bit more, just because they can get a little bit more on it. So I like those 2 guys at plus 550. And then All-Star Weekend is all about Narrative Street, if there's ever a time for Narrative Street. So getting the hometown guy, who is a guy that's very streaky, he gets hot and cold. Zach LaVine could finish last place in the first round. He could also hit 15-20 in a row and have the crowd behind him in Chicago. So just having the hometown guy at plus 900 feels like a place that you have to sprinkle a little.
Nah. I'm rejecting that because I think it's for a dunk contest you want to take
that's what
a
I'm
sprinkle.
saying. He's like all in on the 3-point contest by passing on the dunk contest. I'm shocked that he passed on the dunk contest. He should absolutely be in the dunk contest. It's in Chicago. Aaron Gordon is in it. They could repeat the dunk contest. What was that? 14?
Yeah.
2014. That's the only one that rivals. Maybe was even better than Vince Carter. That was the only dunk contest since 2000 with Vince Carter that was like, wow, this is legitimately entertaining, seeing stuff we haven't seen before.
I agree.
Zach LaVine passing on that, I have a problem with that, and I would absolutely take him to win the dunk contest. But by passing on that, he shows that he's all in on the finesse and going for the 3-point shootout.
Finesse.
I'm not.
Bucks agrees.
Finesse.
I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. Zach LaVine's not gonna win this. It's a pure shooter or one of those deep shooter. Trey, Dame, or Buddy.
What about Devontae Graham?
I love Devontae Graham, actually.
So-
I picked him up everywhere in season long.
No,
and I'm a huge
nobody
Devontae Graham.
Hold on.
Can't show up here and start talking about your season-long team.
we don't
or you
care.
can see yourself out.
Yeah, we don't care about your season long. The listeners don't care about your season long. And most importantly, Matt Cody doesn't care about your season long. He's our producer. One of them. Thank you for
is
coming.
true.
There he is. Look at He don't care.
Nope.
They don't care.
If somebody says season-long again on panel B, you can just beep it out like they swore. So I actually was thinking of picking him up on my boop.
Yeah.
Done.
That's
Up for
right.
interpretation.
Graham is an interesting guy. Well, we'll talk about this during the NBA Futures segment, but
Ooh.
he's been overlooked all season, so like it's a contrarian play, but for me, I would need better odds than LaVine.
Correct.
All right.
I just see plus 900 and I'm enticed.
Yes, I know that's how things work for you Bucks. All right. So we don't have odds yet on the dunk contest field, but we have Derek Jones Jr., we have Dwight Howard, we have Aaron Gordon, we have Pat Connaughton.
Yes.
I'm going to assume that Aaron Gordon is going to open the favorite and that Pat Connaughton will be the long shot with Derek Jones right behind Aaron Gordon, and Dwight Howard, the third favorite. I'm going to assume that. We'll see how it opens. Who do you think is going to win the dunk contest since we don't have odds on it?
Airplane mode.
I knew you were gonna
Derek
say that.
Jones.
Oh, my God. He's obsessed
Why?
with this guy.
I
You're
mean,
obsessed with
it's
Derek
really
Jones.
fun to put airplane mode emojis in Slack and then let you know what to do.
That's what I was going to say. I think you just like the nickname and then what you can do with them with emojis. That's why you like Derek Jones so much.
That's not true at all. He's an explosive dunker, and
He
I don't
is an
think-
explosive dunker.
I don't think Dwight Howard has it because Kobe's not going to be there. That's what makes it sad. But that's the reason why Dwight Howard probably not going to win, and Aaron Gordon's kind of washed up.
Wow.
All right, the reason Dwight Howard's not going to win is because this has never been a big man's competition, and even when he did win, I don't know if he was the best. He was just doing
The craziest.
roll out a 12
yeah.
foot hoop. Ooh, I can dunk on a higher rim.
Yeah.
Slapping stickers on the rim. Dwight Howard's not a dunk contest guy. He's like a
game contest dunker.
putback or an alley-oop guy that is like, wow, he got up high. But
Which they could do in the dunk contest.
I know, but that shouldn't win it. Like you got to be more creative than that, I think. So
I mean, I think he's
Pat
going to pull out
Connaughton-
LeBron now. He has to call somebody
I know,
to
but
come
you can't.
out.
But you can't. I don't think you can give out the higher score because LeBron throws you an alley-oop. I think you do something impressive. Pat Connaughton is interesting because he's a great little dunker. And being smaller helps you in this contest, I think. I just don't think he'll be able to show as much creativity as the longer, more athletic guy. I won't say more athletic, that's wrong, but the longer guys that can get more creative like Eric Gordon and Derek Jones. We know Aaron Gordon can do this. He's not washed. He gets up all the time. This is a contest that he's performed really well in the past. So
User
the question is
fatigue.
he going to have new stuff? Which I think he will. And my other question is your boy Airplane Mode more of an in-game dunker or a dunk contest dunker? I'm not sure of that yet.
I think he's more of a dunk contest dunker. I think he's going to bring out something different. Aaron Gordon, I just think that there's going to be voter fatigue there. And just
so that is a real thing. Gordon's going to have to do different stuff than he did in his other wins.
Does he have enough
to stand out? So can he do something new, even though his old dunks are probably better than any dunks that anybody's going to bring to this?
Exactly.
So I think if I'm betting this, it's tough when you can't see the odds, but I would probably put the majority of what I'm going to wager on this on Gordon, pending the odds, and some on Jones. Maybe with a small play on Connaughton, but you can't take three guys. So at Julian Edlow on Twitter.
I knew that was coming. Knew it was coming. Here it comes.
The Panel B Hot Seat, brought to you by at Julian Edlow, welcomes in Chirag Hira. It's sponsored by my Twitter account.
So
That's all.
He pretended like he bought this seat, and
I
that
did
he
buy it.
sponsors
The going rate's $0 until we have a sponsor that will buy it for more.
All right.
Whatever.
All right, I'm in the hot seat. Let's roll it
Brought
up.
to you by at Julian Edlow.
Great.
Okay. Who will have a play on the dunk contest once these odds are out? Skills competition is not really something I would encourage betting on because we don't really know as much how it's going to go. We know this is pure shooting, pure dunking and creativity. Skills contest can be won by a big, a wing, a point guard. It has to do with whoever gets that pass through the cylinder first, whoever's going to make their first 3-point attempt. It's just not something I would. It's something I pass on every year. Is it something that you like at all?
I think that Spencer Dinwiddie, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, those are the two guys. Patrick Beverley's not a point guard. These are the guys in the range.
Point guards don't always win it, though.
I know, but I think
Tatum won it last year.
Correct. I think a point guard is going to win it this year, and it's going to be Spencer Dinwiddie or SGA.
If I were to bet this, I would probably bet a non-point guard because you get better odds on them, and non-point guards win it just as much as point guards. That's my only take.
But you don't even have the odds. You don't know that.
But I know when the odds come out, it's the skills competition, and the point guards will be favored.
You have to remember, he does this like all day, every day. So like he's so in tune with this that like he can almost predict the odds before they come out.
You know,
that is something that I'm very good
dealing with.
Considering I'm in Julian Edlow's hot seat, I'm gonna need you to prove that. And if you're not, you're gonna get roasted on Twitter.
I just gave you how the dunk contest participants will be.
But that was obvious. That was so
Was it?
obvious. Yeah. What do you mean? I could have told you that.
And what was it?
It was Aaron Gordon, Derek Jones, the third guy, and Pat Connaughton.
All right.
And Dwight Howard, which is a Laker, so I should know that third guy.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll see if I'm right.
So you're saying Dinwiddie and SGA are going to be the favorites?
Let me look at the field. Who's the field? Read me the field.
Beverley, Sabonis, Middleton, Tatum, Adebayo, Siakam.
Yes, with the exception of Tatum maybe having better odds than one of them, only because he won last year. So you shouldn't play Tatum again.
Correct. I just think play the point guard. And if they're getting plus odds, what's wrong with just sprinkling
Sabonis is in it?
Yeah. He's not winning it.
No, he's not.
No. Bam, he's cool. He's a good player, but I don't think he's going to win it.
I don't think Bam's going to win it. All right. Middleton might be a play here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You said play the point guards.
Yes, but we're sprinkling. You said don't even play it. You said don't even.
Unless you're going to fade the point guards.
And if you're fading the point guards, you're playing Middleton.
All right, so now you're on board with my strategy.
No. SGA is going to win it.
I've put your brain into a pretzel.
All right. SGA is going to win it. There's my call. I'm calling it right now.
There you go. We'll see what the odds are when they come out. Skills competition. Be careful with that one. The other two, have fun. All right. NBA futures. I just want to look at a couple things here, really. I think the player ones are the most intriguing. But really quickly, do you have any takes on conference winner, championship winner? I think the safest piece, I don't really think there's a safe piece right now. So Milwaukee's minus 139 to win the East. It feels like they're just a freight train, but are they a playoff team? We saw them get bounced in 6 by Toronto last year. But the East doesn't necessarily have that team that can get them out this year. Is Milwaukee the team in the East, do you think, I guess, is my question.
Yes. There's no debate about that. Milwaukee Bucks are going to be in the NBA Finals.
All right. Quick and to the point. I like that. I think I agree. I think I would take Milwaukee minus 140-ish there, but it's just like they haven't proven anything to us in the playoffs yet. They lost to the Celtics in 7 games in the first round a year earlier, and then last year obviously made it deep, but Toronto got 4 in a row against them. The question really is, does the East have that team that is like Toronto that can beat them? I don't know if they do. Philly can't win on the road. Toronto's hot, but they don't have Kawhi. The Celtics have had their struggles. Without being biased, Mr. Hollywood Hira, what stands out to you in the West? The Lakers plus 175, the Clippers plus 180. Once you drop down from that, Houston plus 650, Utah plus 1,000, Denver plus 1,200.
I mean, really?
Denver's too steep right now. Not that I think they're actually going to win it, but plus 1,200 is too steep for Denver.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was looking at, Utah or Denver. Utah hasn't proven it with Mike Conley, so I think Denver with Jamal Murray back from the ankle injury is going to be able to kind of carry them. And I thought he was going to be an all-star this year, so I was wrong with that. But they're deep. They're deep, and that's kind of what you need. They have big men. They can match up with the big teams, or if they want to run 4 wings, they can match up with teams that are running wings.
For me, Denver's the only long shot worth looking at. I can't stand watching the Houston Rockets play their new form of basketball. I'm looking forward to fading them in the first round with whoever they play, as long as it's a healthy and competent team. But that's a first round bet. All right.
Hold on, real quick. Can I bring up something?
You can. You're here. This is your podcast.
Thank you. So here's actually one that I thought was kind of interesting. They have the East versus West bet for the NBA championship, the winning conference. So the Eastern Conference at 185.
Yeah.
The Western's at 230. With how closely knit the Western looks like, whereas the East is pretty spread out. Do you think there's some value there on the Eastern Conference at plus 185 if you're thinking the Bucks are going to go?
So if you think the Bucks are going to go, why don't you just bet the Bucks plus 275 to win it?
So, okay, and that's fair. But I'm talking about this one here. So you could potentially even double dip here if you wanted to.
I don't see value on either side because... So for me, I feel like the Bucks are the team in the East, so I would take the better odds with the Bucks. And if it wound up being the Heat, the Sixers, the Raptors, the Celtics, I wouldn't give either of those teams really a very good chance. So I would probably stay away. And then I don't want to lay the 230 on the West,
right? Because
I would probably. I think it's going to be in LA. LA is going to be in the finals.
Plenty can change.
I would take the 2 LA teams and try and hit on one of them.
The thing is, championship winner plus 275 for the Bucks, and then East versus West, you're getting 185. So I think it's better just to take the Bucks straight up.
All right, we're in agreement there. All right, player futures. This is one of the things I think is really, really cool about DK Sportsbook in general, just in season being able to continually bet on player awards. That was something that worked out for me on Stephon Gilmore, Defensive Player of the Year in the NFL. Bet on him in like week 14. Like, that's ridiculous.
Who'd you take in the MVP for 2018 World Series?
Steve Pierce.
Oh, I didn't know that.
At plus 3,000.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Good bet.
Yeah, it was a really good bet.
Dope.
A lot of people can learn from that bet. All right.
One bet.
Regular season MVP. This one's been spiraling out of control a little bit lately. I wish I had gotten Giannis when he was in that minus 140, minus 150 range. Giannis now sitting there at minus 400. Luka plus 500. Harden plus 800. LeBron plus 800. That's where things really fall off. Anthony Davis plus 2,500. Dame Lillard plus 3,300. That his team's not even in the playoffs right now. Is there anybody other than Giannis worth betting on? And do you think it's even worth laying 4-1 on 1-4 on Giannis to win it?
Not at this point.
It's a stay away from me as well.
The only spot is LeBron James. If he leads the league in assists, the Lakers, they have to be within 1 or 2 games for the Bucks to get this. If the Bucks run away and have a 3-game lead for the overall just home court advantage, Giannis is going to take it.
I agree. I don't think we can any longer bet on the NBA MVP. Rookie of the Year. Zion was plus whatever he was, 1,800 before he even played. Since he's come back, he's plus 550. Ja Morant is the obvious one at minus 560. There's nobody else even worth talking about. Is there any incentive to take Zion plus 550 at this point?
Nah. Ja Morant's taking this.
So, unfortunately, I think the only way Zion gets this is if Ja Morant gets hurt.
Yeah.
And then Zion winds up playing 10, 15 games fewer than Morant and is that much better where they can give it to him. So, if you're betting Zion plus 550, I think you're also almost betting on Morant getting hurt.
Yeah.
All right. Defensive Player of the Year. Anthony Davis sits at minus 200. Rudy Gobert plus 200. Makes no sense to me because him and the Jazz have been significantly worse on defense. Giannis plus 550. Probably not going to get that with the MVP. Ben Simmons plus 2,000. Joel Embiid plus 3,300. Marcus Smart plus 6,600. If I were to play a long shot, I would play Marcus Smart at plus 6,600.
Homer.
But is there anybody? He should definitely be above Simmons and Embiid, in my opinion.
No, Simmons leads the league in steals.
Whoop-de-doo.
He creates on the fast break.
That's offense.
Correct. But their defensive scheme is predicated around Ben Simmons funneling to Joel Embiid if they gets beat. And then he kind of does that pick.
Right, so then give him a team award. Ben Simmons funneling to Joel Embiid for Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think either of them individually is.
And Anthony Davis said prior to the start of the season that Defensive Player of the Year is what he wants. So they're going to pretty much give it to him considering he's been blocking, stealing, rebounds, everything for that team.
Do you have Davis's numbers in front of you?
Minus 200. Oh.
No. Oh, I meant like his actual defensive numbers. I don't know. I mean, Smart made first team all defense last year. I think that it's plus 6,600, so this isn't anything more than a tiny bet, but I just think he stands out more than most of the names above him outside of Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis
9.2 rebounds, 1.6 steals, 2.4 blocks.
That's pretty high on the blocks. I like that. Yeah, it's probably going to be Davis. It doesn't look like we can. DK Sportsbook lets you parlay a lot, but you cannot parlay any of the awards. So you got to lay the full 200 if you want AD there.
I think this one. Fair. I mean, you love chalk. Would you not take that?
I do love chalk, but those can be a little dicier.
I mean, the only way he doesn't get this is if he gets hurt.
Well, we're talking about Anthony Davis here. All right. Two quick last ones. Sixth Man of the Year. This one is interesting to me because Lou Williams was minus 110 or so. He's now plus 150. And during this whole span, the two guys behind him have not even moved. Montrezl Harrell's always remained plus 175. Dennis Schroeder's always remained plus 200. So I don't get why that money is coming away from Lou Williams without any of the other favorites really rising up the board. I think Lou Williams at plus 150 is pretty decent value. Schroeder makes sense because maybe OKC deserves some kind of award for their surprisingly good season. I think Williams would get it over Harrell, but Williams has been a sixth man. Maybe you go another way with the Clippers. I don't think Derrick Rose, he's had a good year, but I don't think Derrick Rose at plus 1,000 is really worth it. And then you go beyond that, and we're not really looking at anybody significant.
Yeah, Dennis Schroeder's my pick. Plus 200 is pretty solid. And also with Lou Williams, keep in mind, they've been starting him lately, and with Patrick Beverley in and out of the lineup, that kind of changes it.
Well, he gets the spot starts, but you can still win six-man getting starts when guys are injured. I think you have to come off the bench
perspective,
more than half the games.
From a voting perspective, it kind of he's voter fatigue there. He's already gotten so many times, and Dennis Schroeder is just exclusively off the bench.
Yeah, I don't mind a play on Schroeder at all at plus 200. Last award before we get out of here, and actually give some picks for tonight if we have any. Most Improved Player winner. This has been my favorite one to track throughout the year. Brandon Ingram currently favored at plus 150. He's been all the way up there at plus 600, plus 800 throughout the year. Luka Doncic, who's the second favorite for MVP, he's at plus 175 here. Devontae Graham is a guy that just came out of nowhere. He's at plus 400. He's dipped down to as low as plus 200, I think. Bam Adebayo has been plus 1,200. He's now down to plus 650. SGA is in there at plus 650. I don't think we need to get all the way down to Trae Young at plus 5,000. That doesn't make that much sense to me. But the rest of these guys, I'm kicking myself for not getting Brandon Ingram plus 600 and Bam Adebayo plus 1,200, Devontae Graham plus 600. And just getting sprinkles on all those guys early would have been the play. On the current board, what do you like here?
I have a soft spot for Brandon Ingram, but my pick is Luka Doncic. They're not going to give him the MVP, and Brandon Ingram kind of gets hurt. I mean, I think with Zion Williamson back, they're going to be able to take a little step back with Brandon Ingram. And Luka Doncic he's going to come in, make that playoff push, and that's what's going to kind of vault in the leaderboard.
So I am scared of Luka Doncic, but if I played two right now, it would be Graham plus 400 and Graham and Bam plus 650.
Yeah.
Bam's he could wind up being the 2 seed in the East, the second best player on that team behind Jimmy Butler. There's a good narrative there.
Yeah.
All right. That's a look at NBA futures. Went through All-Star Weekend. It is a Wednesday card full of NBA and college basketball. Does anything stand out to anybody before I go?
Go ahead.
Atlanta Hawks
Before I go.
the Cavs. They're
Make it
only
fast.
favorite. I really think the Hawks are going to take care of business tonight. Trae Young, he's in an all-star form. Just kind of look at that.
Bucks in the dark.
Yeah, Bucks in the dark.
You go.
Which is our most highly rated segment here. I basically look at the lines and give one blind because I don't follow basketball that much. So you know what? I love the Mavericks tonight, minus 8.5
Wow.
against the Kings.
Wow.
There you go, Bucks in the dark. By the way,
Kings
we're
and
1-1 on
Kings.
the season. Huh?
Kings are going to hang. So.
I don't care. This is Buck in the dark. I give information. I don't do any research. Mavericks 8.5 looks good. Julian, give yours quick. We have a very long show.
Well, you saved the wrong guy for last.
Yeah,
for quick.
you're right.
All right. 2 NBA teams, the most dominant teams in the NBA. It is very rare we see them this lightly favored. The Milwaukee Bucks are 5-0 against the spread without Giannis, 5-0 straight up without Giannis. Giannis still sitting out for the birth of his child. At Indy, the Pacers are on a 6-game losing streak, 1-5 against the spread during that streak. Bucks minus 118 on the money line stands out to me. Milwaukee, a very hot team out of the gate. The Pacers have lost 8 consecutive first quarters. I think playing Milwaukee first quarter makes a lot of sense. Lakers minus 139 at Denver. Anytime I get the Lakers in this close to pick'em type situation or as a dog for plus money, they're 5-1 straight up as an underdog this season. Not that they're slightly favored here, but I like the Lakers minus 139 in Denver. So the 2 top teams in each conference, very rare we see a minus 118, minus 139 on the money line. Square play, I'm taking both of them. Now we go to the college hardwood, where everyone hates me for talking them into URI plus 11 last night, including Bucks.
Idiot.
You're the idiot that followed my play. All right.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Hurry up.
Play it or pass it.
Oh, so bad.
Kansas, West Virginia. Big showdown tonight. Kansas at West Virginia. First half, under 62.5. Full game, under 133.5. Play them both. Kansas is 8-0 to the under on the road this season. They are 10-1 to the under away from home, if you count neutral court games. The only over came in overtime on a neutral court against Dayton. We saw last night how elite Dayton's offense is when they went up 17-0 on the URI team that we bet against.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas in the last 4 road games, the total is averaging 115.5 points per game with a high of 123. That total, a reminder, set at 133.
Thank you.
These 2 teams met last month. Kansas won 60-53. That total adds up to 113. Under first half, under full game. Kansas at West Virginia. Lakers money line. Bucks money line.
Thank you very
Big
much.
Wednesday night.
Hawks on the spread.
Let's go.
And then, of course, Mavericks, Buck in the dark. Chirag, thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate you coming on. Julian, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
For Julian, for Chirag, I'm Steve Buchanan. See you next week. Oh, crap, I pointed.